Do you ever feel like your home is kind of holding you hostage? Like all the stuff you own actually ends up owning you? Yeah. Okay, let's dive right into this. Because we're about to unpack the incredible science of how clearing our homes can genuinely clear our minds. And we're going to do it through the story of one man who was absolutely sure he had it all under control. So, meet Art Fitzgerald. He's a widower who, like a lot of us, thought his house was just fine. It had accumulated character, he'd say. Psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called the endowment effect. We tend to think our stuff is way more valuable just because it's ours. And for Art, that meant he definitely didn't need any help.
But in reality, his home was telling a completely different story. An assessment by his new, let's call it a roommate, a decluttering robot named Deko, revealed a pretty harsh truth. His house wasn't just lived in, it was a physical time capsule of grief. And get this, nearly 3/4 of everything he owned was just clutter. It was actually creating real safety hazards right under his nose.
Okay, let's be honest for a second. Blocked pathways, rooms full of things we never use. Does any of that hit a little close to home? Art's struggle really taps into a feeling we all know, that sense of being totally overwhelmed by our stuff. And researchers have actually linked that exact feeling to higher stress and decision fatigue. This is where Art's journey really begins. And it's so important to get this. It wasn't just about being messy. Nope, this was a full-blown crisis of being stuck, a state that behavioral scientists see as a huge barrier to actually moving forward in life. I mean, just look at this. Deco's first scan laid out the shocking truth. Imagine, nearly 3/4 of everything Art owned had nothing to do with his current life. It was just there. It was like a physical anchor to the past, taking up all the space that was meant for his future.
So how in the world do you even start to tackle a problem that big? Well, you don't start with the whole house, that's for sure. The key, according to Art's new robotic helper, was a really simple, logical set of rules, a way to build up momentum one tiny step at a time. So Deko introduced Art to this system. And it's really built on stuff the top organization experts have been saying for years. First, every single item needs to have a purpose and a place to live. Simple. Second, you group similar things together, so you have to face how many you actually have. And third, you apply a reasonable time frame. If you haven't used it in a while, do you really need it? And this is just brilliant. It perfectly shows a key idea from behavioral science. You have to start with a quick win. The whole journey didn't begin in some deeply emotional closet. It started with coffee mugs, 47 of them. I mean, can you believe that? By just tackling that one, almost ridiculous little pile, Art created real, visible change. And that gave him the confidence for the hardest stuff to come.
But as anyone who's ever tried to declutter knows, it gets to be about more than just stuff really fast. The physical clutter, as top researchers have found time and again, is almost always just a symptom of a much deeper emotional weight that we're carrying around.
And this was Art's biggest fear when he finally had to face his late wife Eleanor's closet. And it's a question that's totally rooted in how our brains are wired. We create these powerful links between objects and memories, right? So it literally feels like if we throw out the object, we're throwing out the person.
So how do you get around a fear that big? Well, you need a system. And Deco's was pretty elegant, actually. It's called the curated memory test. For an item to stay, it had to have a direct sensory connection, like a smell or a specific feel, or it had to be a crucial part of a core life story. Now look at this. This is the result. Out of an entire closet full of clothes and things, only 4 items passed that test. They became Eleanor's treasure box, the cardigan that still smelled a little like her, the scarf from their anniversaries, her reading glasses. All of a sudden, letting go of the rest wasn't about loss anymore. It was about honoring what was truly important. Art also had to deal with another kind of clutter, something experts call aspirational clutter. You know what this is. It's all the stuff we keep for the person we think we should be. That bread machine for the artisan baker he never was. This whole process forces you to be honest about the life you're actually living, not the one you're buying groceries for.
So what happens when you finally clear all this stuff out? The change goes way beyond just having a tidy house. The research on this is so clear. Art didn't just get his space back, he got his life back, his money back, and even his community back.
Buried deep inside what he called his paper mountain, Art discovered he'd been paying for old, useless insurance policies for 4 years. The cost of just that paper clutter? Over $16,000. Wow. It's a pretty stark reminder that being disorganized physically and financially often go hand in hand.
And this one might be even more critical, the impact on safety. They focused on what safety experts call risk clutter. Just by clearing out old chemicals and shaky stacks of junk in the garage, they cut down the household safety hazards by a whopping 95%. Being organized isn't just about comfort. It can literally be about survival.
And this is where the story gets really, really powerful. Art's personal project turned into a whole neighborhood movement. And it's the perfect example of a huge finding in behavioral change. Having social support makes all the difference. By working together, the shame disappeared and the work became easier. It turns out connection might just be the best organizational tool we have.
So after all that, what does this actually mean for you right now? Art's story is incredible, but the best part is that it gives us a clear, totally non-scary way to start our own journey.
See, you don't start with the attic. No way. You start small to build momentum. Day 1, do nothing but observe. Just walk around with a notebook. Day 2, tackle the medicine cabinet. It's a small space, a quick win, and has a huge impact on safety. Day 3, clear your digital clutter, your phone's home screen. These are small wins that build the confidence you need for the big stuff.
And that's really the big shift in thinking here. This whole process stops being about loss and starts being about creation. You're not just getting rid of things you don't need anymore. You are actively and intentionally making space for the life you actually want to live. So the real question isn't what you're going to get rid of, it's what are you going to make room for?